All right. Well, it's your boy, Dustin from the Flying Chariots, The Rise podcast. And I got a special guest for us. We got Corrina Carmen here, all the way from Australia. And she's got a bunch of list of things that she does. And she just blew me away when I saw her. She's a medium and she's like a mystic. She's into the ETs. And, Australia is rich with ETs there since the dawn of time. So, yeah, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up.
Hey, well, thank you for having me, first of all. I was born in Sydney, Australia. I've lived here my whole life. It's a beautiful country, rich in ancestry. Our Indigenous Aboriginals as well are very spiritual beings, and they've connected to all sorts of spirit for 40, 50, 60, 70,000 years. So I'm very blessed to be living in this beautiful country of ours as well. And basically, from the age of possibly 3, I realized that there was something different about me. I sensed and I felt different spirits, different entities that no one else could see. And really from the age of 3 to probably 8, it was actually really scary. I actually thought there was something wrong with me. And it was funny because my journey from there led me to probably at the age of 10, 12, I actually started to see spirit very clearly, almost just like looking at you. And I would wake up and they'd be over the top of me, just looking. And I'd be, wow, what's going on here? So I very early on, I really learned to be able to tap in to my intuition and listen to what they were trying to tell me. And I think, so yeah, my journey as a medium intuitive started very young. And since then, it's taken me on a crazy journey of the mystical worlds, channeling galactic beings as well as spirit, all sorts of dark forces as well. I've had dealings with archons, portals opening right in front of me. So it's what it's taught me is this world is multidimensional. It really is. The unseen is something that I think we all can tap into. It's just being able to slow ourselves down and try and receive the messages. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree about like them. If you actually concentrate or research these things, they more like pop up in reality for you. I've had
Absolutely. Yeah.
others tell me that too.
We all have the ability within us. It's just that a lot of us are too busy in our lives that we just we don't, and it's too scary. A lot of people fear the unknown, the unseen. So we kind of avoid it. We just get on with our daily lives. But it's actually taken me on a journey from the last couple of years of studying more shamanism. So I actually became a shamanic practitioner as well, which has been beautiful because I've been able to tap into more ancestral beings, more galactic beings, and that's been incredible as well.
I was actually going to ask you what ETs have you contacted?
Palladians have contacted me. I've had many nights where I've been woken by bright lights in the room, fluorescent white lights. And I've had Palladians standing there in the room that have been transmitting messages. Other beings, Arcturians, and also some beings, I really don't know what they are. All I know is they're really scary, really scary. There was a particular night, it was a couple of years ago when I woke up and the light was fluorescent white in the room. And it actually woke me up and I thought, my goodness, what is going on? And in the corner of the room were 2 very cute beings. They were probably only 4 foot tall. And they kind of looked like greys, but they looked friendly. They didn't, but on the same hand, they still scared me. And I actually screamed. I remember screaming, my goodness, you're just ugly. Oh,
Right?
oh, what is this, a giant ant? It's like, oh. And
Oh shit.
at that moment, they actually said to me, be quiet. We're not going to hurt you.
Mhm.
And at that moment, I just thought, sugar, what's going to happen? And I couldn't move. I literally couldn't move. And I started rising out of the bed. And I actually don't remember anything else until I went into the ship.
Okay.
And
Cool.
they actually took me into a ship.
Okay.
And the whole time they were saying, it's okay, don't panic, we're not going to hurt you. We just want to show you what we're doing and what's going to happen. And it was the most beautiful, beautiful experience.
Yeah. Some say that. Like it's
There
heavenly.
was a lot of, I found it beautiful. I was looking through the ship into space, the stars. It was just incredible. And the whole time there were actually there were a whole lot of different beings on that ship. And they were saying the whole time, we're not here to hurt you. It's okay. Don't panic. Don't panic. So I felt really calm. And they showed me some of their technology on the ship and what they'd been doing and a whole lot of messages. I actually, it was just mind blowing. It was just mind blowing. And from there, I don't even remember how I got back into my bed. But after that, they just kept happening. So it was just a repeated thing. And yeah, it was just amazing. It was just amazing. But since then, what had happened is somehow I developed the gift of downloading and receiving light codes, which is our soul language, but also a language from channeling galactic beings, our ancestors. And I've been able to download lots of different messages from them. And having, it's just a common thing, having them sort of appear in the room. Or it's amazing. It's amazing.
I was gonna say that the fact that these aliens had different beings working together, so it sounds like there's some sort of federation going on working amongst them. That's interesting too. I don't hear that too often. That you just usually hear one race of beings abducting, or maybe there's like little worker bees. You ever heard of the case of Calvin Parker here in America? It's a famous case in I think in the 70s. Him and his coworker, I forgot the other guy's name. I should know this. They went to go fishing anyways, and they just were on the pier, and this UFO just comes down right behind them, and these three creatures that have like crab-like fingers, they're kind of robotic, like, but it looked like elephant skin type, and they were floating. And when they grabbed them, they just like instantly got in shock, and they couldn't move, and then just got thrown up into this UFO. And then this human ET is a woman that came and interacted with them and like just used her tools and and then let them go. And then they went to the police. They went to the police right away, and they wigged out, and they took a lie detector test. They both passed. So that's another famous case. We actually had him on our podcast right before he died. He died recently last year. So yeah, interesting.
Well, it is. And, it was funny because when I was younger too, I actually remember sighting a couple of UFOs outside, where in between the clouds, I would see something and I would watch it just flipping like that. So I think from a very young age, I've had experiences, but it's only been recent that I've actually been able to communicate with them. So on this plane, but also telepathically as well. So if I'm in a deep meditative state, say, and I want to channel, or I start channeling, and they could just come through. So that's more, sort of on the 5D and other planes. And it's it's quite amazing how chatty they really are and how they want their messages to be told. They're definitely, we will be seeing a lot more sightings. They've told me over and over again, from 2024 to 2028 is the time where the great reveal will happen. So, but at the moment, there are definitely is a federation. The Palladian contact that I have had have told me about that. And they're beautiful. I mean, they're beautiful to look at. And they're not scary at all. So when you see one of those beings, those insectoids or something that looks really scary, it's like, oh.
Yeah, right.
But the ones I've come across haven't been too scary, apart from I have had a couple of, unfortunately, which is actually probably not unfortunately, it's probably a good thing, really, because it's seeing the light and the dark at the same time. So you're sort of experiencing both. And I have had an experience a couple of years ago when I was waking up 3 a.m, which is typical for me, between 3 and 4. I'm awake. And there was a whole lot of electricity zapping through the room, green, bright green. And I thought, what is this? It actually was for weeks. And I thought, wow. And one night I looked up, and through a portal literally opened above the fireplace in the bedroom. And this was around 3 a.m. There was electricity zapping. It was zapping. And I was looking at it thinking, am I hallucinating? Am I awake? And I was like, yeah, I'm awake. I just went to the toilet. I'm lying here. I'm not hallucinating. I'm not on drugs.
Oh, shit.
And I saw it. And I actually had this unease. And I thought, and just as I thought that, this portal opened. It just opened right in front of me. And I literally felt a breeze of air just on my face. It was, and I looked, I was transfixed, and this giant, when I say giant, I would say maybe 2 meters tall, came out, or 2.2, came out of the porthole. And he was actually quite beautiful, very tall, see-through, transparent. So some sort of light beam, almost like completely transparent. And I was focused on looking through his body, and it was like watching water move through his body. It was just like water. And it was it was, and he was bald, no hair, no, completely transparent, but luminous, and like water moving. And I was looking at him thinking, who are you? Telepathically, I'm thinking, communicate with me, communicate. And wasn't saying anything. And I was like, who are you? Where are you from? What kind of being are you? What, I was fascinated. And just then he said to me telepathically, are you ready? And I just thought, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And my instinct was no. But just at that time, he stepped aside, and through the portal came all of these, what I know now were reptilian shapeshifters. And they just flew, probably about 20 of them flew out of this portal, and they flew towards me. And I was sitting up in the bed, and they were literally flying up, but landing on the wall and shapeshifting. So it was like a bat that would turn into a spider, that would turn into a bird, that would then turn into some other weird creature, and then they'd fly at me again. And it was some sort of attack, like sort of some psychic, sort of spiritual attack.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, what do I do now?
I would have ran out of that house.
Not because that's the worst thing you can do. If you, my experience with spirit and all sorts of entities is, that's the worst thing you can do.
Okay.
You have to be really tough and stop. no, you don't have permission, out. But in this case, this was my first dealing with these sorts of beings. So I was like, what am I going to do with these things? And I was just watching them. I just sat there watching them, and it was fascinating. I just thought, wow. And it was funny because at that, probably for a good 6 months, it was almost like a haunting. I would call it, like, it was almost like a haunting. And I tried to cleanse the house and close the portal and do all sorts of things, but it was actually a very strong energy. And but they were giving me all types of messages. And I think, what I learned from them is, even though they were like archons and they were these shape-shifting reptilians and they seemed very dark and dense, I felt like I was feeling, what am I supposed to be? Why are you showing me this? Why are you here? And I think it was really to take me on the path where I am now. And even though they looked really scary, it was almost like when it was like, how can I describe this? When you come back into your own power and use that against them, I found that they would just disappear. They would go. But in between the sightings, that being, the luminous being that was huge, I would stand at the end of my bed and he'd step aside and show me. So, but it was funny because I felt that he was a light source, but he was showing me multi-dimensional beings to see what was possible, and probably to expand my mind and my consciousness. Because, to be honest, I would never have believed it if I hadn't experienced this ongoing for 6 months. And since then, my channeling abilities have completely taken off in ways that I would never have thought possible, dealing with these galactic beings.
Wow.
Both light and dark, I would call them, or dense. And I think that you can't have one without the other.
Right.
So it's
yin and yang.
It is, and it's. So I've learned to channel both, and I think, nothing really scares me anymore. Nothing really scares me anymore. I don't see them often anymore. Occasionally, and I kind of just imagine a light and I zap them like a laser beam, and I just connect and I'm like, right, and I kind of just zap them and they just scatter off. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, my experiences with those sorts of different beings, as you would call them.
That story, the story you just told, that just reminds me of the case that just happened this year in January. Did you hear about the Florida case at the mall in Miami? So this portal opens up in the mall, and these like 10-foot shadow figures come out, and even people who had their guns actually shot at these things, and then they would ripple like water, like you said. Like there's, they have that little ripple water effect. I don't know, it's really crazy. And enough there's 200 police or cars there. Yeah, man, it's like it's insane. And then it's a whole big cover up, or it's a whole big conspiracy, or again.
Well, and you know what? And I feel that's the thing, because the majority of people are just very three-dimensional. And we're multi-dimensional beings. We are. Mm-hmm. And we haven't been taught that. We haven't been taught how to tap into that part of our imagination or creativity or our third eye. We haven't been taught that. So we've grown up very conditioned into believing minimal sort of things. And that's why when we have these encounters, they're listed as a conspiracy or that's crazy, but it's really It's not. We're multidimensional. This universe, it's multidimensional. There's many, many, many dimensions.
Yeah.
And at the moment, there's so many people that are having so many different experiences that they can't explain, that it's come to the point, and I believe it's coming to the point, where people that were skeptics are now forced to say, well, actually, who knows? Do we even know? Because things that we thought we knew weren't real, and things that we were told weren't real. And really, we've been living under this kind of illusion where history is sort of, how much of it really is true. We get revealed what they want us to hear, and they suppress the rest of it. So there's a whole other world out there that exists that, we haven't even opened up our imagination, because we've been told that it was all a conspiracy and that it didn't exist. But I believe now, as I said, between 2024 and 2028, there's a massive shift. And I feel like, I know that there'll be more of this, what you just described, and more. There's going to be a whole lot more of this. But I absolutely do believe it, because I had seen those shape-shifting things. And as I said, if I hadn't seen them, I wouldn't have believed it myself. So, yeah.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Peter Curry from Australia? I think maybe he's from Sydney.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No.
He holds the holy grail of this interaction with ETs. So it was early morning, like around 7 o'clock a.m., and he was just sleeping, and he felt like there was a cat that jumped onto the bed, and he's like, I don't own a cat. And he happens to wake up, and wake up to a woman straddling him, riding his dick. And she's beautiful, like milky white skin and white hair, and she looks a little bit, like in a hybrid, but beautiful. And
wow.
And there's another woman naked sitting on the side of the bed too. And he's just like, what the fuck is going on? Who are you? And then he starts to get up, and she cups the back of his head and pulls him into her breast. And he's nervous and scared. He bites down on her and gets a little skin in his mouth and swallows, and burns his throat, and he's coughing and other shit. And these ETs are communicating with each other, and he can hear it in his own head that he's doing this wrong. He messed all this up. And then they just disappear out of thin air. But he had this erection for like 6 hours, and he noticed there was something wrapped around his cock, and it's kind of like embedded into his skin. It's like a hair. So he ripped off this hair, and he said it's so painful when he's ripping the shit off his dick.
Oh, wow.
And after that, it released his erection. So he had this analyzed by scientists, and they found out that it was like this all different race of humans, like even ancient humans, like really bizarre shit. Like they did like a whole investigation of this whole family, and then they did a lie detector test and passed with flying colors. It's like, what a crazy and somewhat awesome interaction.
Well, yeah, it is. And it reminds me of the time probably about a year ago where I was sleeping and I felt 3 taps on my forehead here on my third eye. Tap, tap, tap. And I was trying to open my eyes, and I was like, huh? I was tap, tap, tap. Huh. So I opened my eyes, and there is the most handsome looking Palladian.
Oh shit. All right, let's hear this. Get into detail, please.
And I was like, wow, he's so good looking, not normally my type, but blonde, blue eyes, and just beautiful. And I was looking at him, and I was like, and I wanted to talk to him, but he was listen. And we have a message. And he was talking about World War II and some American politics. So it was crazy. What was going to happen the next couple of years, and what I needed to know. And the whole time I was just looking at him, thinking, goodness, you were just so good looking.
No doubt. He's an ET.
And
I don't blame him. He's godlike.
Yeah. But It was actually, I could feel his hand on my leg. It was almost like, don't move. Like,
Oh,
I need your
shit.
attention. Don't move. And I couldn't move. I was like, but it was funny after the sort of the transmission and the download and me looking at him, he vanished, and I was thinking, no, don't go, don't come back, tell me more, So yeah, so I don't know. They I had one sitting on my bed. There you go. Only once.
That's awesome.
I might try and invoke him back tonight, or we'll see.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah.
That lucky ass. Well, that's pretty awesome. um, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're saying that you're in the process of writing a book. You want to tell us a little bit more about that, or if you want to?
A book at the moment called Unleashing Your Imagination, and it's about I am a interior designer as well, and it's about tapping into your creativity, using your intuition, developing your intuition to tap into that, and use that to tap into your imagination and create, whether that is through writing or art or design or anything really. So that's really exciting. That's really exciting.
That's really awesome. Yeah.
I'm writing about using nature to be inspired about the colors, textures, things like that as well, which is also, as a designer, things that I tap into, but also in shamanism as well. That's what we do. We use, the earth, all of the elements to channel our intuition and heal and connect to the earth as well. So it's fun. I'm really enjoying it. So I'm mixing a little bit of the mystic in there as well.
That's awesome.
Which is, we'll see where it goes, but I have to do that. It's such a big part of who I am that that's going to come into play somewhere along there. So I'm in the middle of doing that, which is really good. And I'm just, at the moment too, I'm doing a lot of shamanic practitioner healing work, doing a lot of light codes as well. So I'll be writing a book about that as well. That's my next book.
That's exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then does people like seek you out to, with mediumship and stuff like that, like connect with loved ones or
word of mouth? Mm-hmm. I haven't really wanted, because I'm so busy writing and designing. I design houses and things as well, and it's all been word of mouth. But I am planning on launching something where I'll be doing that probably just 1 or 2 days a week. Sure. I just find it's quite exhausting because it does take a lot of energy when I channel. And you never know who you're going to channel as well. So, but just doing tarot cards and oracle cards as well.
Oh, cool, cool.
But probably my thing really is channeling beings, also tapping into activating your, your blueprint as well. So you can tap into the Akashic records, past lives, your ancestry. So that's something that I've been doing a lot of as well.
So awesome,
which is fun, but it's fascinating. It's just it's beautiful work. I love doing it, and people are always blown away. They're just blown away because a lot of people just don't think this stuff exists, or they don't know how to tap into this stuff.
Sure.
So yeah.
And do you collect crystals and other rocks too? I was looking at your background there. It seans like you have like a bunch of crystals behind you. I might be wrong.
Oh no, I have a lot of crystals here.
Oh, sweet.
I love crystals, and I work with crystals. Actually, I'm sitting on one right here.
Are you? So is it comfortable sitting on that?
I'm like, where did this come from? This was sitting on my leg. Here we go. So this is a Herkimer. This is a beautiful Herkimer crystal. Beautiful.
Look at that.
And it's the clearest quartz. It's a healing terminator here.
Yeah,
it's the clearest quartz in the world. But you know where this comes from? New York.
Is it really?
There's actually, there's actually an area of New York that has this Herkimer, and the frequency is incredibly high. So I use a lot of crystals to use to increase my frequency as I channel, and they work beautifully. So you can see how gorgeous they are as well.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
And they just look pretty. But the frequency in some is actually huge. And when you go to sleep and if they're opposite your bed and you look at them, you can actually see. Well, I can see, and I think you can actually see the frequency coming out of the points of them, and energy. You can see them.
Oh wow!
And so they do emit a frequency, and I find that just channeling any ancient beings or galactic beings using crystals is a good thing as well.
Yeah. I heard you're supposed to hide your crystals away from the eclipse. And tell me, did you get to see the eclipse? And how was the eclipse for you? Did something change for you? Did you have some predictions or?
Oh, look, we didn't see it here.
No.
Yeah, we didn't see it here, but yeah, there was a lot of talk about it. I did feel a shift in energy, but I felt that we had a very strange week here in Australia, very strange week. So I felt like, about just a lot of things that were very odd. So yeah, I feel there was a shift, but yeah, we didn't get to see it, which is a shame because I love that stuff.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. It does suck.
I mean, I got to see it with my family. It wasn't the full eclipse, but it covered the majority of it. And we had some special glasses, and we actually used it.
I was going to say, sorry, Dustin, did you take your glasses off?
No, I did not.
I would have taken off.
Would you? I don't want to risk it. I don't want to risk it. But no, actually, we used a pasta strainer, and you could watch it on the shadows of that. It's kind of cool.
Oh wow!
We're using different techniques. We're being fun. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's a crazy, beautiful world,
isn't it? It's like I like that. Like Earth is the Disneyland of the galaxy. There's just so much shit here, right?
Absolutely. There is so much, and there is so much.
Yeah. Like on the bottom of the ocean too. I feel like there's alien bases that have been down there since dawn of time, doing all their experiments upstairs up on land and shit. Because I love how we don't know shit about our oceans, like maybe like 8%. And we know so much about outer space, it's just stupid.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like too, also in the north, sort of above Russia, and also in Antarctica as well, where I've remote viewed that area.
Oh, you do remote viewing too? Oh, sweet.
Well, not intentionally. Sometimes it just happens when I'm in a trance state, and it just happens. So, that was it. That's amazing. And I've been shown that there are whole beings that aren't human. I know it sounds out there. But we'll see. I feel like this stuff is going to come out. So I feel like we should keep an open mind between now and 2028, because I really feel that a lot of this stuff that's been hidden is going to come out. So it sounds a bit out there now, but 5 years we'll be thinking, wow,
No, you're exactly right. The fact that here in America that we are talking about it in Congress, Congress is now, having testimonies and other the pilots who interacted with these Tic Tac UFOs, and the stories are so mind-blowing and stuff. So it's like, why would they risk their careers and all this shit just to bullshit a story? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to me. But no, the fact that now that Congress has to prove America that UFOs don't exist. It's not like crazy farmer that has to prove the world that UFOs exist. It's a total flip. It's kind of nice. But again, it's just this slow drip of disclosure. And it's going to take a while. And I guess you're right. It's going to pop right when you're saying it's going to. So, yeah. Makes you wonder.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe it's all going to come out. We just got to give it a little bit longer.
Yeah, yeah,
But there's going to be a lot more sightings, and I think it's a lot of more people will have experiences that they can't explain, and it's really exciting. Really, it's
it
really
is.
exciting. Yeah, yeah.
And there's another
We'll see what
famous
happens.
case. I think it was 1966 back in Australia. School children and a bunch of teachers saw like a few UFOs flying over some power lines near the playground. You hear this?
Well,
You ever heard this case?
I didn't hear
It's kind
that
of a
one, but you,
it's a famous case over there, I thought.
I know across the we've got some vast deserts as well, and there's been a lot of sightings and abductions there as well,
Hmm.
across in South Australia. But one experience or I've had a couple of these, and this was probably about maybe 7 years ago. I was just going to bed, but I just literally turned the light off, and I looked out of the window, and there was a giant, giant orb. I mean, giant. Now I see orbs as in spirit orbs, flying all the time, or I tune into those. But this was a UFO. I mean, this was huge. This orb would have been, wow, I don't even know, 3 meters high, 4 meters high.
Wow.
Um, in diameter. It was huge, white, and it flew past the window, and I jumped out of bed, and I thought, oh my God, was that a UFO? What is that? That is the biggest orb I've ever seen.
Shit.
And I was like, holy shit, where's it going? So I ran to the back of the house, and I watched it. I literally watched it spinning amongst the top of the trees. Amongst the top of the trees, it was quite low. I'm
Wow.
talking trees that are probably, 20 meters high, 30 meters high, 40 meters high. It was quite low, and it was moving above the top of the trees. I ran to the back and I watched it as far as I could watch it till it disappeared. And it was just flying through the sky down towards south. And I thought, wow, that is no mistaking. That is a UFO. And I was, come back. I was thinking, come back, come back, come back. But it was gone. And the next day, I Googled it because I thought, well, so many people must have seen that. And it was just everywhere. You could probably still Google it now. It was everywhere. There were so many sightings that went from Sydney all the way down to the South Coast. There were thousands of people that had seen this thing, and no one could explain what it was. And there was probably a time just after that where I was camping, and it was probably 1 a.m, and I was busting to go to the toilet. So I got out the tent, sort of walked into the bush, sat down, and I looked up, and there was a massive big orange orb in the bush. And once again, this was down in the South Coast here, where we have huge Indigenous, sort of larger Indigenous communities there. And it was huge. It was massive. And it was orange. It was bright orange. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, and it was quite close. And I felt a bit sort of, ooh, wow. And I watched it just levitate up, 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 up really slowly. And I just couldn't keep my eyes off it. And then it took off. It just went off. I was like, wow. So I've seen that one, and I saw the massive big one, and there's no mistaking that. And once
Wow.
again, I Googled it, and thousands of people had seen it in the Southern Highlands too that night. So it was
That's
a lot of people
amazing.
had seen it. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. I was
That's
just one of the lucky ones.
yeah, right?
That
That's
was cool.
insane.
It was pretty
Wow.
cool.
That is
Yeah,
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 that's super cool. Oh shit.
yeah.
No, I was gonna say, I don't know if you knew this, but I don't know if you know who Colonel Wendell Stevens is. He's a famous
I
UFO
saw
investigator.
that. Yes, I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah. I have 2 years ago, his storage locker was up for bids, and I got into that bidding and won two boxes that had 200 photographs of original cases that he worked on and stuff. And yeah, I've been like sharing these online and going viral ever since. That's why I've been getting so involved with everything here and meeting all these people from ancient uh ancient aliens and other things.
I love that shot.
And
I
yeah,
love
a lot of famous faces that interacting and talking on the phone with, like Paula Harris and other colleagues with Wendell and stuff like that. But anyways, I was gonna just tell you that these photographs that I have one series with the negatives here, and it's in
wow.
from Australia. So this thing came out of the water, and this guy was walking by the beach.
So did you
That
say Australia? Was this in Australia?
It's also just the writing there is it's Colonel Wendell Stevens' handwriting here in the backside
Wow.
of these photographs. So yeah, this thing flew over this guy's head, and this other little disc came out of the sky and met up with this thing and went into it. And I have the negatives to that shit too. Bam.
That's pretty cool. So there's no faking that. There's no faking that.
No, you can't fake that
That's
shit.
the real deal. That's the real deal.
Yeah, I thought I'd share that with you.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? That
it does.
When you've got that evidence, and that's evidence. I mean, that's film. You know, you can't mess with film.
No.
And you still have people that say it's a conspiracy or they don't believe. I find it like astounding that you can have firm evidence. And it just goes to people just want to see what they want to see, you know, that or they don't want to see. It's safer for them not to sort of think, oh my goodness, there's other beings or what they are. It probably is a little bit scary. But you know,
I totally agree.
No denial. You know, there's a lot of evidence. And we all can't be crazy, right?
No, you're right.
There's just too many of us. There's too many of us. Yeah.
There's another series of photographs that I have. These are the ones that are the most popular of all the ones that I have because it's like a 12 series photograph of it looks to me like an F-117. There's a lot of mixed reviews and controversial theories of where this is. Anyway, when I got these photographs, they were in an envelope, Pensacola, Florida, 1995. But yeah, again, this UFO is kind of, you know, in one spot, and then this plane is doing swoops around it to get a closer look, and it's over the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows? This UFO could have been popped out of the water too. But again, that's beautiful, right? Nice and clear. Like that's the clearest shit. You kidding me? Look at that shit.
Super cool. Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm jealous. I want some.
You want some? I was very, very lucky, and I spent a lot of money to get this too. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see. Let me wrap it up here. Can you want to share if you have any websites or any Facebook information you want to leave out? Anything you want to like? If anybody wants to get in contact with you, or
I'm just going to put up today because I haven't. It's been just so crazy the last. This year, actually, it's been insane ride, to say the least. So I'm just going to get something up in the next couple of days. I've just been relaunching my website and just rebranding everything. So, but on my Facebook page, I'll have the link on there as well. So,
perfect.
With everything in there. And so it's a bit of a list, but definitely I'll be popping on my medium and my channeling info, and also my shamanic practices, healing, and so
that's awesome. Yeah, again, I like to get you back on here with me because we usually have big group chats, and I've been getting a lot of people from Australia that are all like-minded people like you, and doing the same practices and stuff like that. And I just like linking people up together and like, oh my God, we're going to have to meet up. Blah, blah, blah. So I'll have you, you fall in love with some other girls from Australia that's doing the same thing that you are.
Yeah, I would love to meet them. I would love to meet them because we're all connected. We're all one. And it's great when we all get together and share stories, because we often find there's something that we've had the same experience or we can relate to. So I like hanging with like-minded people.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yes, it'd be so. Yes, I'm gonna line that up. So yeah, is it cool if I shoot you some dates in the future here for lining something like
It's
that?
so much that we didn't get a chance to even like touch on. So
Oh yeah,
um,
we'll come
yeah,
back and have you do more. Again, I love to have you as a guest more and more. So it'd be great.
thank
All right.
you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. And will you stay with me for 2 more minutes? All right.